All right, what is up, my brothers? We got a post here that's titled, Wife Wants Everything in Divorce. I'm going to read it to you and we'll offer some feedback. It says, my wife has decided she wants to get a divorce. We're married nearly 3 years and have been together for almost 6. We have an almost 2-year-old son. She wants me to give them the house and walk away with nothing. We built our home while engaged and then got married 4 months after moving in. My name was never on the deed or the mortgage as they ran it through her credit. I'm a 1099 worker. However, I paid to start the application process and have made equal payments throughout our ownership of the home. I would pay her the cash before we got married, and then we shared a marital account after getting married, and that was used to pay for our bills. Our house has doubled in value, and I've put in some serious equity into it thinking we'd raise our son there together. Whenever I ask how we can split our assets fairly so I walk away with a chance of a new life, she shuts it down and says the house is hers. I don't want to force a sale of the house because I would like my son to grow up there. She says she can't buy me out and she can't afford to take out a loan to pay me. What are my options here? Can I just live in the house even after the divorce? I'm staying at my dad's, a minute drive down the road. Florida, it's in the state of Florida, is a non-abandonment state, so I'm not worried there. With the market being what it is it wiser to just stick it out and going back to the house to keep my claim to it? I will also be better equipped to take care of my son if I stayed in the house. Any advice? Yes, I do have some advice. This is my wheelhouse. I've been dealing with coaching men in the divorce process for quite a while now, and I have a course on, it's called the Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Divorce. I'll talk about that more towards the end, but that'll be pinned in the description below. Here's the thing, guys. Most women will default to this narrative of, just get the hell out of the house. Things aren't working out, I want to untie the knot, so just take your stuff and go. Now, the laws vary from state to state and province to province, but one of the things that you'll learn that I talk about in my course about preparing for divorce so that you don't get ruined in the process is possession is 9/10 of the law in most places. If you want to claim to it, you should have rights and access to it. That's generally how it works for anything, for assets like a home, for access to your kid and all that stuff. One of the things that you want to do if you have a small child especially, and you want to be involved in the raising of that child and the decision making and all that good stuff, is you want to make sure that you continue to parent on a schedule that's some sort of semblance of shared parenting. So, if you live together, generally speaking, a lot of those, tasks are shared. So, if there's like swim lessons or something like that, one parent takes the kid to swim lessons. If there's a after school program or something like that, another parent does it in something that they're interested in too. But what ends up generally happening is, if you live together in a house and you say, and she says, get out and I want to keep the house, and then you leave your own house that you paid for and maintained and probably did upgrades and made the mortgage payments and all that stuff, and you're just like, I'm just going to get out for the sake of providing some sort of sanity and comfort in the world and go and live at your parents' house, which is what most guys do. Then you've all of a sudden abandoned the matrimonial home, and you've also started to spend less time with your kid. If it goes to trial, the way that it works most of the time is judges will award custody based on how things have been going in the past. So whatever the status quo happens to be. If the status quo happens to be mom is with the kid most of the time, like 80% of the time, then that's generally what gets awarded as far as a parenting plan. That's another one of the reasons why she wants to get the guy out of the house. It's pretty common. Like women spend a lot of time preparing for a divorce. Still 8 out of 10 times it's initiated by women, not men. It's not men that are generally untying the knot, it's women. And they're familiar with the laws. They're familiar with how to manipulate and modify them to benefit a favorable outcome. Generally speaking, getting you out of the house is a strong trump card. Another way that they tend to do this is they'll also use what's known as the false DV charge. DV stands for domestic violence. A lot of guys that have been through the divorce grinder understand what this is, that have experienced it. But essentially, she'll call the police and make up some reason. I am scared. He's mean. He's been threatening me and the children. We're awfully scared of him. He's a big bad man. This is especially difficult if she's like tiny, like a 5'2" chick, and you're like 6'4" or something like that. They're not going to believe you. Even if you have video footage, you're still going to have some difficulties proving to the authorities that you didn't do anything wrong. And quite often what ends up happening is she just points and blames. The cops take you away in cuffs, and there's an order very rapidly issued to change the lock on the front door and limit or restrict your access to your own matrimonial home. So Advice in situations like this for guys that are going through divorce, and please guys, if there's somebody you know that's in this position, send this video to them, so they have some understanding of the level of effery that they're going to be going through. You generally want to stay in the matrimonial home. Most homes will have a spare bedroom. Just get out of the master bedroom or like the main ensuite, whatever, and go and move your shit in the spare bathroom, spare bedroom. If you got to share it with your kids, whatever. But generally speaking, stay in the matrimonial home. If you have a basement finished in the house, move your stuff into the basement or something like that. If you have a bedroom down there, I've seen guys just sleep on the couch just to, create some room and some breathing space between them and the ex. So there's that. Stay in the matrimonial home. You want to claim to it. You want to be able to control when it's sold. You also want to make things difficult. You don't want to make things easy. Get out of the house, Rich. No, this is my house. I've paid for it. I have a claim to it. I'll just move my stuff in the spare bedroom until we've worked out a reasonable deal to wrap up the matrimonial assets. That's all you have to do. Just be calm. She starts freaking out and yelling at you. Just grab your cell phone and put it on your chest. Turn on the camera. Walk backwards. Hold your hand out. Just say, look, just calm down. There's nothing to get upset about over here. Just chill. We'll work this out. You've got your cell phone camera pointing out. You're making a video. Walking backwards. You're showing that you're on the defensive, that you're not being aggressive. So if she ever makes any claims about it, you've got some evidence at least, which may or may not be useful, but having it is better than not having it. You understand what I'm saying here. So guys, don't leave the matrimonial home. Don't abandon your kids. There's going to be certain situations where a lawyer might advise you to, for your own protection and, for your own benefit. But generally speaking, most of the time she's like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So can you take your stuff and just go somewhere else because I want a divorce? And most guys are just like, fine. They don't want to rock the boat. They're very agreeable. They're mostly beta males. They're totally fine with complying with whatever she says when she says it. Chick says jump, he says how high. Happy wife, happy life. Guys have been going through this for a good portion of their long-term relationships a lot of the time. So make sure that there's a very, very clear and distinct statement made calmly, not an aggressive, certainly not in a violent way or anything like that. Very calmly. No, this is my house too. I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure it out. Let's get a couple of lawyers involved, and we'll wrap it up. I mean, guys, it's unfortunate, but that is the reality of the world that we live in today. Half of all marriages end in divorce, usually within about 7 years. And that doesn't account for the other half of marriages where they stay together and the guy's too much of a coward to leave, or neither one of them have the ability to leave because they've got limited resources. They're not good looking enough to find somebody else. They put on a ton of weight. There's all kinds of reasons that they sort of go through where it's like, they'll just stay together and be miserable. Y'all know people that have been together for years that just hate each other, and they just stay together because they don't really have any other options. So marriage is a very, very difficult thing to navigate in today's world. And the reason why I put my guide together for divorce is so guys can navigate it properly without complicating their life unnecessarily, losing access to their kids, losing access to when they are able to sell the matrimonial home and assets and deal with all those things. You need to be in the home, generally speaking, with some exceptions, I talk about it in my course. You generally speaking want to be in the home because your presence there, you're basically pissing on the flame of her moving on to the next chapter of her life when you stay in the matrimonial home, which is your bargaining position. I hate to say it, but it is a bargaining position that can be useful if you know how to do it. It's like a war of attrition, guys. It's uncomfortable. There's a lot of discomfort. There's a lot of complexities that arise, a lot of stress that arise out of this strategy, but it is the dominant strategy that most lawyers will advise their clients to follow when it comes to preparing the untying of the knot. Again, remember, most women have prepared this years in advance, definitely at least months in advance, talking to their girlfriends, having a little brunch here and there. Sally will share some story with Becky about how her knot got untied and how she did it, and offer some advice and some strategies. So you need to do the exact same thing. The course, by the way, is useful to men and women if you're planning on untying the knot, but it generally applies to the top income earner in the house, which for the most part today still happens to be the dude. There's some women that out-earn men, but for the vast majority of the time, it's the guys out-earning. And it's a person that out-earns that gets generally destroyed in the divorce machine if the other person knows what they're doing. Anyway, link to the course is pinned below. Make sure you check out all the other useful links there. and do all the stuff for the algorithm, the comment, the like, and all that. We'll see you guys in the next video. What's your experience been? What's your advice for this guy? Talk to you soon. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you